peachies! Welcome back to Dear Peachy. Have you ever pondered the essence of your aesthetic? Are you drawn to the whimsical allure of the girlish coquette, with its delicate florals and pastel hues? Or do you find yourself captivated by the enigmatic allure of the dark feminine aesthetic, with its mysterious depths and bold contrasts? Whether you're a pastel princess or a fiery femme fatale, we've discovered the perfect guide to showcase these two distinct makeup styles. If you've been endlessly scrolling through Douyin for makeup tutorials, then Doki is certainly a familiar face to you. With a whopping 530,000 followers on her Douyin account and 300,000 on Xiaohongshu, Doki has solidified herself as a go-to authority in the realm of makeup. Her talent knows no bounds. She effortlessly transitions from boyish gamine looks to the epitome of the dolly girl next door. If you're someone who loves to experiment with diverse makeup styles, then Doki is undoubtedly the makeup maven you've been searching for. So why wait? Let's dive into her world of creativity and let your inner beauty shine through with Doki's expert guidance. Starting with the first look, the pinkish coquette girl makeup. Doki draws inspiration from various beauty gurus, including the ethereal ballerina girl and the romantic aesthetics. Before delving into the makeup application process, she prioritizes skincare, ensuring her skin is hydrated and plump. Doki applies a nourishing lip oil to moisturize her lips. Doki applies concealer matched to her skin tone to camouflage dark under-eye circles and opts for a green-toned concealer to neutralize any redness, such as around the nose wings and mouth corners. Next, Doki seamlessly applies foundation, focusing on the middle of her cheeks and spreading it outwards for an even application. Using a cushion puff, she gently pats the foundation into her skin. To set the base and prolong its longevity, Doki lightly dusts a thin layer of loose powder over her complexion, providing a matte yet luminous canvas for the rest of the makeup look to unfold. Doki begins by using contour powder to define her nose, strategically applying it to create a bracket-shaped shadow at the nose root. She then blends the contour back and forth to ensure a seamless and natural-looking shadow. Following the natural contours of her nose bridge, Doki lightly fills in the contour, adding depth and dimension. She pays attention to the base of her nose tip as well, ensuring a harmonious and balanced appearance. To accentuate her lips, Doki applies a horizontal shadow at the cupid's bow, creating the illusion of a pouty lip look. Additionally, she adds contour to the lower lip, helping to define the chin and jawline for a sculpted finish. Next, Doki incorporates a color-correcting loose powder in blue. She applies this powder to bake the areas such as the sides of the nose wing, under eye area, and nose bridge. This technique helps to lift and brighten these areas, providing a clean and lifted appearance. For her brows, she uses a brow pencil in brown to fill in strokes by following the natural direction of her brow hair. For the brow head, she fills in strokes that points upward, and continue to fill in strokes that points backward towards the brow tail to create a straight brow. With the excess loose powder brushed away, Doki shifts her focus to the eyes, using the Perfect Diary Marble Series eyeshadow palette in shade number 2. Beginning with the lightest nude pink shade from the palette, she blends it onto her upper lid, ensuring an even application as the base color. Continuing with the same shade, Doki gracefully applies it all over the lower lid area. Moving on to add depth and dimension, Doki selects the rose shade from the palette using a rounded head brush. She blends this shade into a V shape at the outer corner of her eyes, creating a subtle yet alluring contrast. With the remaining product on her brush, she gently diffuses the shade in a downward motion at the lower lid's outer corner, focusing on the under-eye fat region. Doki selects the coral rose shade using a flat-headed brush. She adds this shade to the inner region of her upper lid, gently blending it outwards with the fold of her crease and towards the middle of her lid. This technique helps to seamlessly integrate the shade with the rest of the eyeshadow look. Doki ensures a seamless blend of the coral rose shade at the outer region of her lid, enhancing the contour of her eyes and providing subtle definition. She extends the eyeshadow to the entire region of the under eye fat or egg yolk cell, maintaining balance and symmetry in her eye look. Transitioning to the deeper rose shade, Doki adds it to the inner and outer corners of her eyes. This step deepens the eyes, adding depth and dimension to the overall eye look. For those seeking to elevate their eye look further, Doki suggests the use of double lid tape stickers. These brighten up the eyes and can make a noticeable difference in the appearance of the crease fold, as they can dramatically open up the eyes, enhancing their allure. To further define the contour of her under-eye fat, Doki combines the deep rose tone and mauve shade using a flat-edged brush. She traces along the natural shadow under her under-eye fat, enhancing its prominence and adding depth to her eye look. Moving on to eyeliner application, she sprays some setting spray onto the same brush, ensuring optimal adherence and longevity of the eyeshadow. She dips the brush into the mauve shade and begins to fill in the inner corner liner. Doki tightlines along her lash line, filling in the roots of her lashes with the mauve shade. This technique not only defines the eyes, but also creates the illusion of fuller, thicker lashes. Switching to the reddish-brown shade, Doki fills in the liner along the inner region of her lower lash line, starting from the inner corner and extending towards the edge of her iris. Returning to the mauve shade, Doki extends the shade horizontally from the middle of her iris towards the outer corner of her eyes. She slowly traces the liner upward at the outer corner to connect it to the upper lid shadow. Finally, Doki traces out a straight winged liner to further lengthen her eyes, emphasizing their natural shape. Next, Doki selects falsie styles that are less luscious but long in length, providing subtle yet impactful volume and length to her lashes. To enhance the lower lashes and achieve a more doll-like effect, Doki reaches for a liquid liner pen. She carefully fills in the lower lashes, adding definition and intensity to her eye makeup. As a final touch, using her fingers, she delicately dabs a pinkish, shimmery shade onto the middle of her upper lid, inner corner, and some at the middle of her egg yolk sail. Embracing the mantra that the shinier, the better, Doki adds the glittery shade to the middle of her lid for that extra dose of sparkle and glamour. As the light dances off the glitter particles, her eyes come alive with a radiant glow, reminiscent of a fresh peach glistening in the mist. For blush, Doki returns to the same deep rose shade she used earlier. Using a stippling brush, she applies the blush to the region below her eyes, her nose, around her cupid's bow, and chin. This strategic blush placement not only adds a pop of color to her complexion, but also complements her overall makeup look, enhancing the cute and fuzzy vibes she aims to achieve. To ensure the lip product pops on her lips, Doki begins by applying a thin layer of foundation to her lips, creating a smooth and neutral base. Next, she reaches for the perfect Diary Rouge Intense Velvet Slim Lipstick in shade L25, using it as the base color for her lips. Doki applies the lipstick to her lips, focusing on filling in the middle region and Cupid's bow of her upper lip. Switching to the same lipstick in shade L30, a bright red tone, Doki dabs it at the middle region of her upper and lower lip. With her fingers, she gently smudges and blends the two lipstick shades together, seamlessly transitioning from the base color to the bright red tone. This look truly embodies the essence of a girlish, pinkish, coquette girl style with Doki's charming and whimsical appearance. Her makeup look features soft, rosy hues that accentuate her youthful and playful demeanor. With this look, we are sure that you can achieve a flawless and captivating makeup look that is sure to turn heads and leave a lasting impression. Transitioning to her second look, the Winter Red Rose Dark Feminine style, Doki begins by spreading her foundation evenly across her cheeks, forehead, and chin. For areas with larger pores, Doki employs a technique of applying the foundation in circular motions. This method helps to ensure that the foundation fills in and enhances the appearance of these areas, providing a more polished and refined look to her complexion. She pats out any excess foundation with a cushion sponge. Doki lightly dusts setting powder over her complexion. Doki contours along her jaw to make them look more chiseled and sculpted for a mature look. Nose contour is then traced along the nose root and nose bridge to make the bone structure more prominent. Contour is also added to the philtrum and lower lip for a more delicate-looking lips. Switching to a flat edge brush, Doki continues to define the under-eye fat and contouring her egg yolk sail. Next, using a blending brush, Doki layers the contour all over her upper lid, creating a deeper eyes effect. She extends the shadow towards the end of her eyes and brings the contour up to connect with her brow bone. This tip is useful for individuals with less deep eye structures. By extending the shadow towards the end of the eyes and connecting it with the brow bone, she creates the illusion of a deeper eye socket, enhancing the overall depth and dimension of her eye makeup. To ensure a seamless transition of color, Doki brings the shadow from the end towards the middle lid again, creating a natural gradient effect. Additionally, she emphasizes the importance of blending the contour onto the outer lower lid for a cohesive and balanced look. To achieve an even and balanced look, Doki employs the use of a matte highlighter by holding a fan brush vertically straight up. She applies the highlighter to her tear groove, swiping from the inner corner towards the under eye area. Doki applies it to the inner cheeks and around her nose wings, strategically lifting and plumping these regions for a youthful and radiant look. By adding highlighter to the outer corner of her under eye area, she creates a snatched effect, enhancing the overall contour and definition of her eyes. Moving on to the brow bone and T region, Doki applies the matte highlighter to create the look of deeper eyes. This technique adds dimension and brightness to these areas, accentuating her eye makeup and creating a captivating gaze. Finally, Doki highlights the highest points of her nose, including the nose bridge and nose tip, with the matte highlighter. This step adds subtle definition and creates the illusion of a more sculpted and refined nose shape. For her brows, Doki opts for a deeper brown shade brow pencil, tracing out brow strokes to create a slightly arched brow shape. Moving on to the eye makeup, Doki starts by using a stippling brush. She applies the blush from Girl Cult in shade Coddle all over her lid, extending it towards her cheekbones for a cohesive and harmonious look. She also adds a touch of blush to her nose bridge, creating a soft and natural flush. With the peach pink shade, Doki adds depth and dimension to her eye makeup. Using a blending brush, she layers the eyeshadow above her crease, blending it towards the lower lid region and upwards. She also adds a tiny bit of the peach shade to the inner region of her lower eye corner, enhancing the overall coherence of her eye makeup. To further define her nose, Doki adds the same shade to the base of her nose tip in a V shape. This technique creates the illusion of a more pointed nose. Switching to the other blush with a warm red shade, Doki picks it up with a flat edge brush to add depth and dimension to her eye makeup. Starting from the inner corner, she carefully lines along her lower lash line towards the outer corner. To further enhance the width of her eyes, Doki blends the red blush downwards at the outer corner of her lower lash line, extending the eye width for a captivating effect. Doki then fills in her winged liner at the outer corner of her upper lid, adding a bold and dramatic touch to her eye makeup. To elongate the crease length, Doki reaches for a light top shade and applies it to the outer V corner of her eyes. She brings the shadow down to connect with her egg yolk cell, creating a seamless transition and enhancing the depth of her eye makeup. Remember that the shadow should seamlessly blend towards the edges of the eyeshadow region, always pointing upwards for a lifted and flattering effect. Using the same flat edge brush, Doki adds a deeper brown shade to line her inner corner and upper lash line, sharpening her look and adding definition to her eyes. Finally, she lines her winged liner on top of the liner filled in just now, completing the dramatic and sultry eye makeup look. For those seeking to elevate their eye look further, double lid tape stickers are your best friend. To intensify her eye makeup look, Doki reapplies her liner with the deep brown shadow, adding depth and definition to both her upper and lower lash lines. Moving on to the lower lash line, Doki starts from the outer corner and applies the shadow liner towards the middle of her eyes. Continuing from the middle towards the outer corner, Doki fills in the lower lash line, ensuring a seamless transition and a cohesive look. The same shade is applied to emphasize the contour of her under eye fat. To enhance the sharpness and sexiness of her eye makeup look, Doki reaches for a red color liquid liner pen to further line her inner corner. She lines the inner corner, extending it slightly to lengthen the eyes and create a more mysterious allure to the look. Continuing with the liquid liner pen, Doki fills in the outer corner of her eyes, tracing the outline of a triangle and filling it in for added depth and dimension. For falsies, Doki opts for wispy styles that emphasize a longer eye shape. These falsies typically have shorter length at the front and longer ends, enhancing the elongated and alluring look of her eyes. To further enhance the allure of her eye makeup, Doki uses the liquid liner pen to trace false lower lashes, drawing strokes that generally point towards the back of the eyes. This technique creates a siren-like shape, elongating the eyes and adding a seductive charm to the look. Doki suggests starting with longer strokes and then filling in with shorter ones for a more natural and seamless appearance. Continuing with the warm red blush, Doki adds a tiny bit to the lower region of the inner and outer corners of her eyes, as well as swiping it across the under-eye fat. To add shimmer and sparkle, Doki picks up Urban Decay in shade Space Cowboy and applies it to the middle of her lid and under-eye fat. She also adds it to her nose bridge and nose tip. Returning to the blush in shade Coddle, Doki dabs her brush into it and presses it to form a more dense shape. She then adds the blush to her cheekbones and nose tip for a flushed and rosy look. To enhance the fullness of her lips, Doki employs a contouring technique using a light mauve shade. She lines the outer edges of her upper lip, creating subtle shadows that add dimension and volume to her lips. Next, Doki selects Girl Cult Lip Matte in shade M51 to achieve a rich red lip effect. Layering the lipstick in a few coats, she builds up the intensity of the color, creating a bold and vibrant lip look. In this dark feminine look, Doki exudes an aura of sensuality, mystery, and strength, captivating all who gaze upon her. Her eyes, framed by sultry and smoky shadows, command attention with their intense gaze. The deep and dramatic eyeshadow colors paired with precise eyeliner create an alluring and mysterious allure, drawing others in with their hypnotic charm. Did you find yourself drawn to the whimsical charm of the pinkish coquette girl aesthetic with its soft hues and playful allure? Or perhaps you were mesmerized by the seductive and mysterious aura of the dark feminine look with its bold colors and captivating intensity? We want to hear from you. Which aesthetic speaks to your heart? Or you are just eager to try both looks? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next video. Goodbye.